Hello, this is BBC News, our top stories. 1 month after the devastating earthquakes that killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria, many are still living without proper shelter.
You can't deal with devastation on a scale like this in days or even in weeks. The impact of this is going to be felt by people here in southern Turkey for years.
A suicide attack in southwest Pakistan has killed at least 9 police officers. The explosion struck a police vehicle in Baluchistan province. In Ukraine, fierce fighting continues as Russian forces advance on the eastern city of Bakhmut. The deputy mayor says the region is almost destroyed. And migrants crossing the English Channel to the UK in small boats would be banned from ever returning under government plans announced in London. But refugee charities say the proposals are unfair and unworkable. Hello and welcome. Exactly a month after the devastating earthquakes which killed more than 50,000 people across Turkey and Syria, an unprecedented number of people are living without proper shelter. The UN estimates that in Turkey alone, at least 1.5 million people still inside the disaster zone are homeless. The true figure could be even higher. Our Middle East correspondent Anna Foster is in Antakya for us. And Anna, we're talking about people who don't want to leave the place that is their home, as well as people who don't have the means to leave. How are they managing to cope? Do stay with us on BBC World News, still to come. An enduring story. Experts discover fascinating new details of the ship belonging to the explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton. This is BBC World News. Returning to Ukraine now and to the city of Bakhmut, where Russia is continuing its all-out assault to capture the eastern Ukrainian city. It suffered the loss of many thousands of men, despite the Pentagon saying victory is of little strategic importance. For more on this now, we can chat to our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale, who is in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. James, hello to you. So if Bakhmut is of little strategic importance, why has the fighting there been going on such a sustained basis? Do stay with us on BBC World News, because we'll have more coming up on the situation in Turkey a month since those devastating earthquakes. Also more on the situation with regards to university education in Afghanistan. And you can get in touch with me on any of the stories on Twitter at Annita BBC. This is BBC World News. I'm Annita McVeigh. Our top stories. 1 month after the devastating earthquakes that killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria, many survivors are still living without proper shelter. At least 9 police officers have died after a suicide attack in southwest Pakistan. The explosion struck a police vehicle in Baluchistan province. In Ukraine, fierce fighting continues as Russian forces advance on the eastern city of Bakhmut. The deputy mayor says the region is almost destroyed. And migrants crossing the English Channel to the UK in small boats would be banned from ever returning under government plans announced in London. But refugee charities say the proposals are unfair and unworkable. Hello and welcome. A reminder of our top story now. It's been exactly a month since devastating earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria, killing more than 50,000 people. The challenges on the ground remain immense, with many people still without shelter. The United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, estimates that in Turkey alone, at least 1.5 million people still inside the disaster zone are homeless. Jamie Lesueur is head of emergency operations for the Red Cross. I spoke to him a little earlier and began by asking him how the Red Cross is supporting people on the ground. And stay with us on BBC World News, still to come. Counting down to the Oscars, we hear from the stars of one of the top nominated films, The Banshees of Inisherin. This is BBC World News, the latest headlines. Actually, we can't bring you the headlines just now, but we do have this report for you on dementia. And around 55 million people are living with the condition. And here in the UK alone, almost 1 million have the disease. It's an illness which can impact your memory, your mood, and even your movement. It can also come at a huge financial and emotional cost for the loved ones around you. Our correspondent Nina Warhurst and her sisters Amy and Mel have been trying to make sense of the condition since their dad Chris was diagnosed with dementia last year. Nina Warhurst and her family. A few of today's other stories now, and initial results from Estonia's general election suggest victory for the Prime Minister Kaja Kallas and her Reform Party. With most of the ballots counted, it's secured about a third of the votes. The election was dominated by Estonia's stance on the war in Ukraine. The British government has said it will continue to support students accepted by the European Union's key scientific research programme, Horizon, after their situation had been left in doubt following Brexit. The UK will continue its financial support until June, bridging the funding gap left by the EU. Thousands of people have been left without shelter after a massive fire broke out in a crowded Rohingya refugee camp in southeastern Bangladesh. The blaze engulfed about 2,000 shelters at Cox's Bazar. It's estimated around 12,000 refugees, most of whom escaped violence in neighbouring Myanmar, are now homeless. Hundreds are now returning to the area to see what they can salvage from the ruins. It's already won 4 BAFTAs and it's been nominated for no fewer than 9 Oscars. The Banshees of Inisherin is the Irish movie taking the awards season by storm. Sophie Long has been talking with some of the stars behind the dark comedy. Thanks for watching, and you can stay in touch with all the day's main stories throughout the day here at BBC World News. And I'm on Twitter at Annita BBC.